Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Come on in. So we have 3 forms of government in the United States, and they all have different branches. And the reason we have different branches, does anyone know why? Go ahead.
Maybe maybe some of them might have like different things to do. Maybe like the more bigger things go like to the higher ones, and then like the I don't know like the more sophisticated level. Yeah.
Well, that's true. Hopefully they're all pretty sophisticated. Go ahead.
Like, if the federal government was in one state and they needed them immediately, they could ask the local government.
That is true. So we all have to work together and coordinate, especially if we have massive storms. For example, does everybody remember, not this winter, but last winter, how much snow we got?
Oh my God.
Yes, I know. We still have nightmares. So at that time, local government, state government, and federal government all pooled our resources, so that way we can make sure that the roads stay clear, we could open up the schools, and all of those things. So what I was thinking about is that the reason we have different branches at each government is for checks and balances. Does anyone know what checks and balances mean? Have you heard that term before? So our founding fathers from the late 1700s, they all said we don't want any one person or any one branch to be too powerful. So we're going to have a whole bunch of branches, and we're going to have a whole bunch of different governments, so that way no one entity is too strong. And that way we make sure that all of your rights are protected. So let me ask you this. The person who's in charge of the federal government, one person, can you name the title to that person?
President?
The president. And who's the current president? Go ahead. Good, very, very good job. So at the federal level, we have a president. He is exclusively in charge of his branch. It is really the centerpiece for the entire government and for the country. At the state level, who would be a similar person?
Governor?
That's right. Now, who's our governor, correct?
Charlie Baker.
Very good. So Charlie Baker is our current governor, and he oversees the entire state. At the local level, this is a little bit of a trickier question because there's cities and towns, but in a city, there is one person who's in charge. Do you know
the mayor?
The mayor. Very, very good. But we're not a city here. We're a town. Do you know what the question's going to be?
Who's in charge in town?
Correct.
Selectmen.
They're very good.
I think she should be in your seat.
I agree. No, I need a vacation. Would you like to take over? Here's the pen. So very good. So at a local level in a town, we don't elect a mayor. We elect Board of Selectmen, and in each town it's a different number. But do you know how many in the town of West Bridgewater we have? How many?
I think 3.
Very good. But yep, they all grew up here. They all went through our local school system, and they all still obviously live here as well. So what do you think the Board of Selectmen actually do? Any idea? Go ahead.
Help make important decisions in the town.
They do. So we're going to discuss those in a moment, and then I'm actually going to show you all their offices as well. Is that good? Would you like that? All right. So the Board of Selectmen work full-time jobs. So they're not here every day. So even though they make all the decisions, they need someone to carry out all of those decisions and inform them as to what's going on a daily basis. So any idea who must do that for them?
You're looking at him.
I'm right here. So that's what I do. I'm the town administrator, which means that the Board of Selectmen tell me what they want done every single day, and then I do it. And then I let them know as to what things were done, and then we move on to the next subject. So all of you are involved in local government every single day. You probably don't even know it, but let's see if you can figure it out. Name one thing that you guys do every day where you're a participant in local government. Any ideas? Go ahead.
Maybe school.
Bingo! You're in the school system. So schools are part of local government. We have a separately elected school committee. They have a school superintendent, and that person makes sure that all the schools operate so you guys can all go to school. Now, how do you get to school? Go ahead.
School bus.
A school bus. And what does a school bus have to ride on?
A road.
That's right. And that gets taken for granted, but who do you think takes care of the roads? The Board of Selectmen. That's what we do every day. Somebody has to make sure they get paid. Has anyone ever seen a hole in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that called?
Pothole.
Pothole. So we got to fill them. We got to buy all the pavement. We got to fill them out there, and we put. And then when it snows out, what do we have to do? Go ahead.
Clear the roads.
What's that? Clear the roads. That's right. We got to plow. So again, that's all taken care of at the local level. Now let me ask you: have you guys ever had a fire alarm at your school? You have. So who came to the fire alarm?
Fire department.
Fire department. Another department of local government. And did the fire department ever come alone, or did they ever have somebody else come with them as well? Go ahead. You haven't.
Police.
Police department, exactly. So you have police and fire that are all part of local government. We have to take care of the roads as part of local government, and the schools are part of local government. Now let me ask you, when you leave school, sometimes maybe you go to a different building and there's a whole bunch of books in it. What would that be? Go ahead. The library. And how, have you gone to the library? Has everyone else here gone to the library? So that's part of local government as well. So that's everything that we do that affects all of you, and you probably didn't even think about it. Now, in order to be able to provide all those services, local government needs money. So how do they pay for it? Any ideas? What form? Well, how did? Go ahead.
Taxes.
That's right. We love taxes, don't we?
Yes.
No. We could edit that part. But that's exactly your mom and dad, your parents, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, whoever you know, all of us in the room, we all, when we work, we pay taxes, and the taxes then go to each form of government, and at the local government, that we collect them so we can pay for all those services that we just discussed. Now, in order to figure out who should get taxed, there's a funny department. It's a little bit of a different name. I wonder if anybody could figure out there is a department at local government that determines the value of your properties. Any idea what that department name might be? Go ahead.
Tax administrators.
Well, you're close. Go ahead.
Mortgage.
No. So it is called the assessing department. And we're going to go downstairs and I'm going to show you the assessing department. So that assessing department assesses people's properties and they determine how much you should be taxed. And then somebody has to actually collect those taxes. Any idea what department that would be? And that would be the tax collector's office. And that's in this building as well. So all of those are in here, and we're going to walk through and we're going to see all of those. All right? Any questions that you guys have for me?
What kind of decisions? What kind of decisions do you have to make?
So what kind of decisions do I have to make? Well, for example, we talked earlier how we have to collect taxes, and obviously we don't want to collect too much in taxes because then people won't be able to keep their paychecks. But when we do collect them, we have to make a decision. How many firefighters should there be? How many police officers should we have? It would be really nice to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of police officers because then everybody can make sure that they had enough to be safe. But we can't afford to do that. So one of the decisions we have to make is how much money is fair to bring in, and then how many people can we actually hire so that way we have enough people for the job. So that's one of the decisions we make. You have another one?
I should type these up. So
That's
am I
okay.
writing?
What are the positions both here?
What are the positions that are
You
held?
talked about some of the positions, like the tax collector and the assessor. You wanted to know what are some of the paid positions versus unpaid positions. I think they wanted to know.
Okay, so on this floor here, we will have a conservation commission, which we're going to introduce you to. How many of you in here like to swim? So if you jump in the water, would you want the water to be clean or dirty?
Clean.
Of course, you don't want to swim in dirty water, right? So that's why we have a conservation commission, because they make sure that the water stays clean. So that's one department that's here. And when you want to do, anyone in here, have your parents ever done any renovations to their house, maybe add a swimming pool or a deck or a shed? If anyone has done that, they come into what we call the building department, and they have to pull a permit. And what that does is that notifies the town the work that they're doing, and then we inspect it to make sure the work is getting done. So that's another paid position in the town, and we're going to show you that one as well. We talked about the assessors, and we talked about the tax collectors. Now, do you think, look at all that. That's a lot of paperwork. And there's lots and lots, and all of these file cabinets are filled with paperwork as well. But there's one central location in the town hall required by law as to where all that paperwork must be kept. Any idea where that could be, the name of that department?
The town hall library?
Nope, not the town hall, but think it's similar to that. It's called the town clerk's office. And the town clerk is responsible by state law to hold all vital records. So, for example, if one day you want to find out, if you want to know what happens at a meeting, has anyone ever heard the term minutes? Minutes is just a written form of what happens at a meeting. So if any one of you said, I want to know what happened to a meeting in 1949, you could go to the town clerk's office and ask them, and she can go pull it out. And she's responsible to do that. So that's another department we're going to see today. In the last department that's downstairs you're going to see is, how many of you like to go out to eat? And how many of you would like to eat good food versus bad food? So we're going to go see the Board of Health, because the Board of Health makes sure that all the restaurants are in compliance with the law to make sure the kitchens are clean, the utensils are washed, the dishwashers go to a certain temperature to be able to kill any bacteria so nobody else gets sick. So those are all the departments that are in this building, and we're going to go see all of those. Is there another question?
Do you find it hard to make decisions you have to make? Give an example.
Yes. A lot of decisions are tough because in a respectful way, there's always a winner and there's a loser. There's somebody who is hoping that the answer will be yes, and somebody who's afraid the answer might be no. And unfortunately, especially when it comes to budgets, because there's only so much money, is the fact that every department might need money, but I can't give enough to every single department. So if I give a little bit more to your department, I might have to give a little bit less to, say, Hope's department. And so those are tough decisions because I like both of you, and yet I can't give both of you the same amount of money sometimes. So the Board of Selectmen are what they call a policy board. So, for example, go back to the analogy that I just used, is that I will make a recommendation to the board as to what department is going to receive those monies. But they ultimately will make that decision. Once they make that decision, then how the money gets spent in that department is in my decision at that point. So they say, we're going to decide, we're going to allow that department $10,000. But then it'll be up to me and the department head as to how we expend those funds. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you get to decide whether there's a snow day or not?
I do not, but I would call more if I could. But no, that is actually in the school department. There is a school superintendent. Do you know what our current school superintendent's name is? Go ahead. Dr. Oakley. And Dr. Oakley is my counterpart. And Dr. Oakley makes that decision.
I have one more question about all the documents. Is the town hall or that part of the town hall like fire safe or?
Yeah.
That?
So we have a very large vault downstairs. If it's open, I'll show you where it is. And the door is about this thick, and nobody could ever break in. And if it's open, I'll show you where it is. And that way you'll see there's a whole bunch of documents in there. Any other questions? Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions, anyone?
So the selectmen are volunteers, or they get just a small stipend for their service?
Yeah, they get a small stipend. For the most part, really covers their travel expenses and that type of stuff.
So the people who are in charge of the town actually do it not for the money, they do it for the public service.
Trust me, I will tell you this. It is, in many ways, it is a very difficult job because
Yeah.
there are 7,000 residents in town. Most of them all think differently than the other. And so when the selectmen make decisions, and almost every night they go to meetings, on weekends they'll go to meetings. A lot of times they'll miss personal things that they would like to attend to, birthday parties, that type of stuff, because they have to go to a meeting. And yet, no matter what they do and how hard they try, there'll always be somebody who's happy with the decision they made and somebody that'll be unhappy with the decision they made. Just because there's a lot of people.
That's a good system, though. Then they're doing it for the service of the
Correct.
public service.
That is correct.
That's great.
So, and go ahead.
How do you like working here?
I do. I like working here. It's a very nice town. The residents are very friendly. It's nice, a small town atmosphere that, there are fewer and fewer of those now. And most of the employees that have been here a very long time. And so it's a really nice working relationship. Anyone else?
By the way, I like your talk sometimes.
Oh, well, thank you. So why don't we do this? Why don't we start our tour? This obviously is my office. This is where I work every day. We're going to go through this door, and we're going to go straight across the hall to where the Board of Selectmen is. And this is where all the votes get taken. This is where all the major decisions for the town happen. I will sit in that chair over there, and you can see that whenever we have meetings, we'll sit up over here, and you can see all the books and how thick they are, because those are all the documents that we have to go through every single meeting. Now, if somebody gets out of hand and somebody keeps on talking when they're not supposed to, what do you think that the selectmen do? What? You want to give it a rap yourself? Go ahead. Imagine like somebody's yelling at you. What are you going to do? There you go. Very nice job. I might need a new one. I think I tried. But that's exactly what they'll do, is that if somebody starts speaking out of turn, then what they'll do is they'll rap the gavel and they'll call it to order, and they'll ask that person not to continue speaking. This very wonderful woman is named Kitty. Do you remember what I asked you earlier about the Conservation Commission? What do you like to do? I said, do you like to swim in clean water or dirty water? And they all answered clean water. Can you believe that? So,
no frogs,
but,
no leaves, no mess, no dirt.
But thanks to this woman and all the other people that she works with, they make sure that all of our streams and water stay clean, make sure no oil gets in there, make sure there's nothing else that gets in there that would damage the environment or damage it for us. Go ahead. So this here is the building department. Remember earlier when I said if somebody adds a pool or a deck or a shed, then you have to come down, you have to get a permit. So this is Karen.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
And the boss is Steve Solari, and he's the building inspector. All right.
Hello.
Karen will be very helpful. She'll do all of your paperwork for you, and Steve will actually go out to your house and look at the house with your parents and then sign off to make sure that everything was done right. Do you have any questions at all for Karen or Steve? No?
No, you all set?
Good.
Does somebody have to ask you if they want to build a shed in their backyard?
Yes. They come in and ask us if they could have a permit, and they build their shed. Yes. Most times, if it's the right size, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Very good question. Anybody else?
I like how under your room it says builder at.
Thank you. You have to have a sense of humor. So I have my other, and I have that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll go on downstairs. Okay. So we were talking earlier about how there's one office that has all the paperwork. They were wondering if you could get minutes for them to the Water Commissioners meeting from 1812, and they said they'll only give you a couple of minutes. We have plenty of time. But if you ever want minutes or any other type of documents, this is the person you would come to, and she holds all the vital records for the entire town right from the beginning. So this is a pretty important office. She loves paperwork.
Paperwork, yes, yes. Did they want to see the vault?
Yeah, we're gonna. When we go down there, I'll show it to them. And do you remember why I said the Board of Health was important? Why?
They give us clean food from the restaurant.
That's right. They make sure that all the food is clean from the restaurant. That's just one of the items they do, but that's a pretty important item. So anyway, so anytime that there's an issue in town, this is the department that takes care of it, and they make sure that we're all safe on a daily basis whenever we go out to eat or whenever there's other issues in town related to health. And then the last office here is the assessor's office. Does people remember what we talked about with the assessors?
Taxes?
Yeah, they make sure that we know exactly what all the properties are worth. So this is our local West Bridgewater Girl Scouts.
Hey, Girl Scouts, can everybody say the oath? Can you say the Girl Scout oath?
On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law.
Very good.
Very nice.
Do you know the Girl Scout law? Can you repeat the Girl Scout law? That one's longer.
I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout.
Very good.
Very nice.
What's the Girl Scout motto?
Be a sister to every Girl Scout?
I did my homework. Be prepared. And what's the Girl Scout slogan?
Be a sister to every Girl Scout.
Do a good turn daily, right?
Oh.
And that's what we do here.
That's right. So this is John.
Pretty much it.
He's in charge of the department, and there's Jean, who really does all of the real work in the department. John just tries to take the credit for it. But they make sure we have thousands and thousands of properties in the town, and we all have to make sure that their assessment is accurate and true, and this is the entire department that does it. Here we are, and as promised, here is a vault. So if you walk in here, excuse me 1 second. So this here, you will see, for example, here's documents from 1959. But all of the documents are here on behalf of the town clerk, on behalf of all of you, on behalf of all of your parents. So that way anybody wants to know anything about this town that happened in the history of it, they can come into this room and they can look it up. As you can see, it's air conditioned. We have to keep it its exact temperature because this is all paper. And over time, paper will oxidize, and it will go bad, and you won't be able to read it. So we have to make sure it's the exact same temperature every day of the year, regardless if it's summer or winter. Any other questions at all? Good. Well, I hope we got you some answers, and we hope you enjoyed the town hall. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Very
I think we all learned a lot.
Excellent to hear. Have a great day,
You
everyone.
guys want to
You
say
too.
thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very, very nice to meet you. Well, thank you very much.